I'm all in favor of guaranteed contracts, but it may be that on top of your typical guaranteed contract, some incremental money should be based on number of games played and results of those games. I mean, that's how most industries work, where there's financial incentives, even among highly paid executives for performance.
Now, Keyshawn is back with us. Wise words from Adam Silver, maybe wise, but Keyshawn, does the NBA need to incentivize the players to play a full season?
No, you're not going to incentivize the owners, right, for television revenue or ticket sales. So why would you incentivize players to play? Look, the players are already making a ton of money. What they need to do is give them less games. Why don't you do that? More games you play, guys are going to get tired. At some point, they're going to want to rest up, especially if the games are not of importance. If they manage it a certain way, if they're worried about guys sitting out, Golden State versus the Lakers and LeBron James decide to sit out and they wind up putting it on ESPN. Well, schedule the game so that you know when those particular star players are going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that difficult to do at all. Trying to give them some sort of financial incentive when they're already making a ton of money, that's not going to push them to play at all. It's just not. I understand what he's saying about corporate America structure and the way things work in other job forces, but that's not the way it works in professional sports.
It's like, so Adam Silver is a very kind, smart person, and I know he knows better, but he works for the owners and he has to do their bidding in some areas. But it's interesting how they want to use capitalist motivations in a system that is not capitalist. So like they artificially suppress the player's salary, and now all of a sudden they want to incentivize the players to play by paying them more money. It's like a pick and choose, or trying to incentivize them with more money. They're picking and choosing. The incentives, this is an entire ecosystem that encourages the players to do certain things. And we're responsible also. And championships only, like rings culture, then they know that all that matters is if they win a championship. Playing all 82 games, we're not out here putting people in the Hall of Fame. We're not talking about people's legacy by how many games they play in a season. All of these incentives matter, and they can't just change it by throwing a couple more bucks on top of it. To me, to Keyshawn's point, it feels like they're looking at the wrong things, and they're trying to influence the players in the wrong way. So in my view, if they want the players to play more, like Keyshawn said, or to play more, like Keyshawn said, they need to understand that 82 games is too many and 16 teams in the playoffs is too many. The players will respond to the incentives that are laid out. They don't have to play all out. And now they're going to the play-in game where you put even more players or teams in playoff position. So like, I guess my major issue with all of this is in sports media, we boil it all the way down to like, these players are lazy or something like that, when that is not true. They're responding to the incentives that are laid out. Why play 82 games if at the end of the year, all we're going to say is, he ain't win a ring, he ain't the man because he ain't win a ring, or all they're going to do is respond to how many players they can get on the court. So like that's why I get upset and annoyed with all of this. It's probably because the people that I work with more than it is anyone else that we just jump on this like players are lazy stuff and like they don't want to play or they can't play 82 games like they did back in my day. That stuff really gets under my skin, as you can tell. I'm sorry, Keyshawn and Courtney, it's not your fault.
Well, I mean, like to your point, you made this point the other day when we were talking about the play-in tournament. Like, you can't have both, like the 82-game season and the play-in tournament. It's too long. So if you love the play-in tournament, like Adam Silver and the NBA seems to love, like you shorten the regular season because load management will never go away when teams are trying to compete for a championship. Think about us. Like, think about who's not here on set right now. The main host, because they're taking vacation so they can be fresh for, when like it is a high sports period, like when the NFL's starting, all that stuff. No one's going to play all 82 games. No one in any industry is going to work every single day. Like, that stuff doesn't exist, whether you're talking about like, the NBA or other industries and year-end bonuses and whatever else he was throwing into the mix there. Like, the only way to stop load management is by shortening the season, because when there's a championship to be played for, you're not going to be worried about a game that's in like the middle of January.
No.
If you can take a night off, if you're potentially nursing an injury, like what have you, like the NBA's done all this stuff on like sleep science and other data, like where they've tried to eliminate the stretch where you have like 4 games in 5 nights. Like that's all great, but it's still an 82-game season. Like, and I don't know if you want to argue whether like basketball is a sport of attrition the way that baseball is, and you need all those games to be able to determine things. Yeah, no, like we've talked for years about why the NBA regular season doesn't carry nearly as much weight.
Especially if you let everybody in the playoffs anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Agree with the play-in tournament now too. Like that's making it an even bigger incentive to try to shorten the season and be able to have players that are going to be ready to 24 of 30 teams at that point, still technically with something to compete for. And if you are one of those teams that's a 9 or a 10 seed, your road's going to be harder the entire time. So go ahead and give those guys the rest that they need. Like I never understand the argument where it's like you have to play every single minute of every single game. Otherwise, we say, to Dominique's point, like we point out players as being lazy, not doing like their jobs. Like they're doing their jobs. People deserve breaks from time to time. Yeah. Like you got, that's where I stand on it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.